Do hereby swear to testify on all matters in question and tell this committee the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth, so help me God.
Because the Honorable Moses Kuria, besides being my colleague, has been Member of Parliament in my county and my very close friend since we joined Parliament together. But Honorable Speaker, that being so, here is also copied. He said he attended the University of Nairobi, having missed attending the Alliance High School, to Ituru Boys or Ituru Secondary School. But that being so, Honorable Speaker, the Honorable Moses Kuria, you're taking over a docket that is very important. And trade between our country and Uganda, you know, Uganda is our topmost bilateral trade partner in the region. But there exists a huge potential between our country and Ethiopia. I would want to hear what your thoughts are in relation to cross-border trade between our country and our neighboring country, Ethiopia, and access to the African free trade area in the larger region. Also on matters to do with trade, you are aware that our traders here in Nairobi and in many other urban centers suffered immensely under the previous regime, especially our traders in downtown Nyamakima, Kamukunji, in Isli. And since these are trade docket issues, right from the question of standards under KEBS to the smooth clearance of goods at the port of Mombasa, I would also want to hear your thoughts on that. Honorable Speaker, if you indulge me, the Honorable Moses Kuria has also indicated that he has been charged severally. I think he forgot the word severally. But he has indicated he has never been convicted. However, Honorable Moses Kuria, there is an affidavit that has been filed by a petitioner who alleges that you once confessed to having received some bribe somewhere. I don't know the authenticity of these allegations, whether it is indeed true, as the petitioner says, that you have confessed to having taken a bribe. With that, Honorable Speaker, I'm good.
You'll take 4. Okay. One day.
Thank you, Honorable Chair. Honorable Kuria, you know, unlike some of us in this room who know you, okay, a number of Kenyans out there tend to misunderstand you. Sometimes they perceive you as someone who is divisive, who can cause animosity by the way you carry yourself and the manner you communicate. What assurance can you give Kenyans in live television that you mean well for the cohesion of the country, the unity of Kenya, being a multi-ethnic, multiracial society, that Kenyans should not feel afraid when they hear your name or when they see you? Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker, Chairman. Chairman, I want to state that Moses Kuria is my friend. We spent 4 to 5 days together in Pangani in the cell.
You should also disclose that I came there to see you.
You came? Mr. Speaker, it's true. I was coming to that. So you also visited us there and you gave us some legal advice. And he did a lot of things there, but that's a subject for discussion another day. But now now that will not stop me from vetting him now, Mr. Chairman. So the question I wanted to put to him is, if you are approved and made the Minister for Transport, for Trade, how will you deal with this question of counterfeit goods? Because it is becoming a delicate issue in this country on how to protect the local manufacturing industry and the counterfeit goods that are coming from outside. So how will you strike a balance between the two so that you save the people who are manufacturing locally and you also don't stop people who are coming from importing goods are being told that you are bringing counterfeit goods? What is your vision on that? And lastly, the issue of trade imbalance. Like if you see this, there's a question here that it's now 120 billion shillings, the trade imbalance. How do you intend to address that? What are your thoughts on that? Thank you very much.
Yes, Robert.
Yeah, thank you, Chair. Chair, I still want to deal with Chapter 6, which is very important for nomination and election or appointment of public or state officers. And
if I may seek guidance, can I choose any order to answer? Okay, so that I can.
All the 4 questions.
Thank you very much.
In as precise a manner as they were precisely asked.
Thank you. Chair, I ask that because I would want to dispense on the whole issue surrounding Chapter 6 that have been raised by Honorable Robert Boy and my good friend Honorable Ichungo and Honorable P0LICE. We've come from a very divisive phase in the politics of our country. Most of us were players in that contest for a long time. And for myself, this contest was, or this participation was way even before I became a member of parliament, since I came back to this country in 2007. So I've been around for around 15 years. I was also around before even I went into professional practice. I should have mentioned that I was the treasurer of the student organization of Nairobi University. So I was politically exposed from that point. And I grew up under the wings and tutelage of Kennedy Matiba and Jaramogi Oginga Odinga. So from the onset, I was weaned and grew up at the time that you were agitating for multipartyism and democracy in this country. That kind of a background at a very early age, because I started working with the team of Matiba and Jaramogi. I was part of the Sabasaba movement. I was there at Kamukunji when we were fighting for removal of Section 2A when I was only 21 years old. And as a participant, we've been involved in, yes, very divisive moments. And the division that characterized this country also shaped many people. So that's a reality. It can only be my hope and desire that all of us collectively will be able to see a Kenya that now, because that is now we're talking about 30 years, that we can be able to graduate into better political culture that is more issue-based, that is not personality-based. Within those 30 years of divisive politics, we've all collectively said things and done things which to each other we need to have a moment of repentance and forgiveness against each other. And that is not just to me, that is to many political players in this country. So let me say that any perceived extremism or divisiveness on my side has been shaped by the kind of political culture we've had. And going forward, as we progress, I am going to play my role in ensuring that we have a culture where political competition is not enmity, but it's just that, competition. And I do not think that personally, as a person, I have got anything within my DNA that is synonymous with hate or extremism or separation. I have been in this parliament. I enjoy very cordial relations with most of these members, good moments and bad moments, and with most political players. And so to answer the question of the Honorable Robert Boy, I think I passed that master of Chapter 6 that would enable me to play my role in taking this country forward. I am cognizant and aware of the accusation by one of the affidavits that was received about having accepted to receiving a bribe. And I think that matter was taken out of context. I was called upon to explain my comment by the speaker, and the speaker did point out to anything within my comments that was deemed to be external, and the speaker ruled on that matter. Whatever I said that was outside, including some comment that was not very good to my friend Junet, whereby I actually said that comment confusing our social life outside with life inside Parliament. But I would say that I was called upon by the speaker to explain. I explained, and in my honest and humble opinion, that matter is spent and is res judicata. And that's what I can say about it. To answer to Honorable P0LICE, again, as he say correctly, misunderstood. I am misunderstood in some quarters, but those quarters are mostly within social media and elite circles. If you go to most corners of this country, they know me as a peace-loving Kenyan who is committed to cohesion and who has worked a lot to bring people together. As I can say, from some of the region where someone like Opio and I come from, a place like Kondere, I am the second most popular person after Raila Odinga, and that's on record. So I am committed to cohesion, and Kenyans can look upon me as somebody who is going to work to bring Kenyans together. Thank you, Mr. Chair, on that issue of Chapter 6. I wanted to dispense on it so that we can, in my opinion or my request,
Chair,
spend time to...
Chair, again, on a point of order.
Yes.
Chair, I think why I raised the issue of the issues the Honorable Mbui was raising, because I have actually traced the particular issues he was pointing to. And one of them, Honorable Chair, is an email from a Peter Mongai, not on an affidavit, and therefore, Honorable Speaker, in line with
That is not admissible.
is not admissible, and the Honorable Mbui should not be allowed to even quote it, refer to it in... That should be a mistake from the clerk's office, because anything on email that is not an affidavit, Honorable Speaker, I think you should guide us on whether we should be referring to emails, because nothing stops any member of the public from making whatever manner of allegation, and those are the things that the Honorable Mbui was referring to.
Chair, I wanted to just respond to the majority leader and say that is not made up. I have found it in the file, and I have meticulously read through the file. So yes, it is not an affidavit, but it is part of the contents of the file that has been placed in front of us for us to be able to use to vet the nominee. And also, I believe the nominee is able and capable of answering even allegations, because that's basically why we are here. Thank you, Chair.
You know, the standing orders is very clear that any member of the public who wishes to bring to the attention of the committee anything adverse against a nominee must bring it by way of affidavit. The clerk tells me that out of exuberance, they decided to pass on to the nominees even materials that were not admissible under the standing orders. So to the extent that that is an email, Robert, we rule that it's inadmissible. Let's deal with the affidavits that are on record, and we have furnished them to the nominee. I believe you got them, Moses?
Yes, I did, Mr.
Yes.
Chair.
Did you or did you not waive money that you had received a bribe from Kimunya? I think that is what Ichungo was asking.
Chair, I think when I waived the money, I did not say it was from Kimunya. I was only pointing out that there has been efforts to control Parliament from outside. I believe Parliament is a very important institution. And if I am approved by this House, Chair, I will do everything possible to ensure that for those of us in executive, leave Parliament to do its own work.
Are you waiving your own money?
Yes, I was waiving my own money.
It's batch of 4.
Chair, I think I have some questions I didn't answer.
Oh, okay.
I wanted to dispense on
fine.
Chapter 6 issues. So that,
the remaining questions?
Yes. So on the question by Honorable Shongwa about Ethiopia, indeed, as a very pertinent issue. Ethiopia is a huge market, 120 million in population. It represents a very big opportunity for Kenya in terms of matters trade. And not just Ethiopia, the whole of Africa is a very huge opportunity. Kenya has deposited all the instruments under the Africa Continental Free Trade Area. And if I'm approved by this House, one of my priority areas is to ensure that Kenya exploits the huge potential of intra-Africa trade. Currently, intra-Africa trade is only 19%, and this is a conversation we'll be having with my colleagues across Africa to be able to raise this percentage to somewhere even in the region of our East African community, intra-regional trade, which is now standing at 45%. Only 2 weeks ago, I was in Ethiopia as part of President William Ruto's delegation when we launched Safaricom Ethiopia. Again, a very important milestone there. We did even push for Safaricom Ethiopia to get its mobile money business there, and the issue of Safaricom and M-Pesa enabling trade and enabling us to trade within each other is very important. I look forward to working with our side and Ethiopian side to be able to even work to ensure that we can use our local currencies for trade. Both countries, Kenya and Ethiopia, are having some challenges on the forex market, and so there exist opportunities for us to use our local currencies for trade. We have now around 35 countries have reported instruments within the ACFTA, and indeed opportunities really do abound. Again, 2.5 weeks ago, Kenya did flag off, President Ruto did flag off the first consignment of tea to Ghana under the Africa Continental Free Trade Area Guided Trade Mechanism. President Ramaphosa is expected here in the next few weeks in this endeavor of ensuring that Africa, before we look for markets beyond our borders, we exploit what exists here. I've been a question about our traders in the informal sector, in Nyamakema, in all other areas. And it's true that our business community and traders have gone through very difficult times having their goods auctioned. We've had before presidential events for banning of goods. Not before you used to have banning of ivory and such kind of things. Now we've had presidential events for banning of goods, and what I would want to assure our business community that if I'm approved for this position, I will ensure that our people are free to do business and to have an environment where they are not. We have to stop the culture of criminalizing enterprise, and that's why we say as Kenya Kwanza that every hustle matters. The question by Honorable Junet Mohammed about counterfeit is very important. But let me say this about counterfeit. If I have had this discussion with our anti-counterfeit agency, I would wish that the efforts we extend to fight counterfeit is for protecting local manufacturers. And if I'm approved for this position, I'll do everything possible to protect local manufacturers. We have to grow our manufacturing. Our current GDP contribution from manufacturing is 7.5%. This is not acceptable. And it is my endeavor to see this grow to 20%. So in doing this, we have to protect our local manufacturers. Now, does our current effort of fighting counterfeit protect local manufacturers? Yes and no. In most cases, you will find that our fight against counterfeit is for protecting holders of IP for imported goods, not for local manufacturing. I have one example where some 2 weeks ago, I got a call from a certain member of parliament about to asking for some opinion or some help, because some people, some of youth from his constituency had been arrested for selling some shoes which go by the name of Timberland, which was said to be counterfeited. And I was wondering, and I had to ask my son, because I'm not very conversant with this brand, how would I know, as a cabinet secretary nominee even, genuine Timberland, which is not manufactured here in Kenya, and imported Timberland? And I would wish that effort, or those boys who are arrested for counterfeiting butter shoes, so that we know we are protecting our butter shoe factory and the jobs which are there. So we need to look at this issue of counterfeit and ask ourselves, are we just protecting holders of IP, foreign IP, or are we protecting local industry? If it is about protecting local industry, we will do everything possible. If it is just about protecting foreign IP, this is a conversation we are going to open with holders of foreign IPs, and I'm glad that that member, without trying to influence this committee, who asked me for this help, the honorable member for Nakuru East is in this committee. So because we need to have this conversation and be able to separate, is it counterfeit or substandard? For substandard, we are going to use all efforts possible to stop substandard goods and believe in ourselves as a country. I have expressed my intention, Mr. Chair. We now have pre-shipment inspection that happens in other countries. And by the way, we do spend a lot of our money, dollars, foreign currency that we don't have, to some very young companies in China and other countries. It is my assumption that before these goods come to this country, because our pre-shipment inspection is done there, shouldn't we have inspected for counterfeit there? Much as we inspect for standards here, why do we let a container come all the way from Guangzhou in China, come here, and then when it comes here, we talk about counterfeit? I have expressed intention to open a window of shipment inspection and post-shipment inspection. If you choose to have your goods inspected in China, you will have them inspected in China. Also, I'm going to open a window to have these goods inspected here, so that we can take responsibility for our own. And maybe if inspection is happening in Mombasa, that is more business for the people of Mombasa, more jobs for the people of Mombasa. Most importantly, to stop the hemorrhage of foreign currency when we send these goods for inspection. So we are going to look at all this, look at counterfeit within the context of doing the most important thing, protecting our local manufacturers so they can protect our jobs, and growing manufacturing to 20% of GDP by the year 2030. Thank you, Chair.
Thank you. Owen, everybody. Your name is everybody. Mukami, Ferdinand, Murugara, after Owen. I'll just, since everybody wants, I'll just give everybody.
Okay, thank you very much, Speaker and Chair. On Moses Kuria, as you wait for confirmation to take office, I would like to know your thoughts on the African Growth and Opportunities Act and the expansion of EPZ. The Kenya Kwanza manifesto talks about job creation, and EPZ has been one of those instruments that we have used through the AGOA Treaty to actually expand and increase jobs within the country. But again, there are challenges. A lot of investors who would want to come here and actually invest within EPZ and AGOA have issues of land. Where do they get land? The cost of land in this country to set up factories and manufacturing is exorbitant. It's prohibitive. It makes investors not want to go into this. How will you restructure EPZ such that there is availability of land, that we take advantage of the opportunities offered, bring in more manufacturing, save the foreign currency, like you're saying, and also